People think they have corporate credit. Their bank told them they have it. Their credit card told them they have it. They have a nice little credit card with their logo or their name on it, and they think that is building corporate credit. And the problem is it's not. It's not like personal credit where you just do the right things. You get your mortgage and you pay it off. Business credit isn't that way. I'm a little bit debt averse, but I know if I look at my company and go, if I had $100,000, how would that accelerate my growth? But as the business owner, you're head down and you're just trying not to drown. They could have more leverage and more time to breathe and more fun in their business.
Welcome to the Entrepreneur's Kitchen. Today I've got a very exciting guest for you. I've got Sue Schuster, and she's a corporate credit and profit acceleration coach who helps small business owners access funding, grow sustainably, and protect their personal credit. She empowers the Main Street entrepreneur with the financial tools that Wall Street has been using for years. Very exciting. Sue, I'm so glad to have you here. Please let us know who you are and what's your mission.
Sure. I am Sue Schuster, and I was a small business owner for 20 years before I got into this field. And that is my mission, is to teach all these small business owners what I didn't know. And now I know, and I'm annoyed I know because I didn't know. The mission is to teach them about what the heck corporate credit is. How do you really get lending? And what other kind of little things are out there to get you tax credits and all kinds of money back in your pocket? Because you took the leap to be a business owner, and you should get the great things that come with it because you already have the headaches that come with it.
Oh, for sure. There's so much mystery or not knowing around funding, capital, and yet those are the big things. And we often think we can solve those issues with other things, but it typically doesn't work that way. I know you were a competitive athlete. Tell us your backstory.
Sure. Athlete since I was knee-high to a grasshopper. I had two older brothers, and anything they could do as the female and the youngest, I could do better. It's just the attitude I had starting at, 3 years old, doesn't matter. And I got heavily into sports, and that taught me a lot about discipline and about going for your goals and goal setting and everything. I'm a huge advocate of sport. It doesn't matter the sport. It's not even the sport itself. What teaches you, and especially as a female, you're probably not, especially my age group, you were not going pro in anything. Now the females, they do have a chance to go pro in some things, but still not like the guys do. So it wasn't even a thought that I was going to go pro in sport. I'm going to go pro in something else, and I'm going to use the sport background to give me the drive and the knowledge and the discipline to go ahead and go for that. So I did play field hockey. Half of the U.S. doesn't even know what field hockey is, and that's okay. It's like soccer with a stick if you don't know. And it's not ice hockey, it's different. And then I went into teaching, and I was a PE teacher for a while, and I'm like, this is not my calling. And then we started the swim school, which I took all my athletic background and my knowledge that I was learning and went to the School of Hard Knocks for 20 years and learned about finance, learned about lending, but also learned about just dealing with other people, HR, marketing, your books, that is first thing you give away as a bookkeeper and everything else, taxes, all the things. So we grew from 600 kids a week to almost 2,000 kids a week. And I sold that business in 2022, made my way into the financial industry, thinking that would be fun, but that wasn't very much fun because they have a ton of rules. And although rules are good, especially when you're dealing with other people's money, it's fantastic. They weren't for me. And then I made my way into coaching. And through coaching, I learned about corporate credit, which I had no idea about and nobody ever told me about. And I never even heard the words. And I learned about other ways that lending can help your business besides I'm going to go to the bank I know and get an SBA loan, because that's pretty much all small business owners know. And that's what they're told to do. And that's often not the best strategy.
So much there. I'm going to take you a little bit back to the swim school. For entrepreneurs who are building something, maybe if there are pivotal moments in that business that you could share that really either helped it take off or things that you realize were really big moments in you building that business over the 20 years.
For sure. The biggest one, and I'm going to talk to all the moms out there who are trying to do all the things, be a mom, and a great business owner. There was one point where I literally got kicked out of a conference because I had my 2-year-old with me. And I got kicked out of the conference and now back in the hotel room going, what the heck am I doing? How am I going to be a business owner, a mom, and do all the things very well? And at that moment right there, I'm looking at my 2-year-old, who, by the way, now in her 20s and doing fantastic in her little life, but just really reflecting in that moment going, I can do this. They might have kicked me out of the conference, but oh, I still can be a fantastic business owner. The other thing, of course, was COVID, because that's a word that we'd all like to take out of our vocabulary. But COVID taught me more how to pivot, more how to be creative, more to trust my instincts and really be the business that I wanted to be and not try to change every time the CDC said something different. And that could be your competitors or your in-laws or somebody else telling you that you should do your business differently rather than the government. But just sticking to your guns. So those are two definitely pivotal moments that I was like reevaluating the world at that time, whether it's just me being a mom or me being in COVID, that made me refocus. Definitely hard, but good.
I love that you were in that business for 20 years. Sometimes for early entrepreneurs, we're constantly chasing the next thing or the thing that looks exciting.
Yeah, shiny things are fun until they don't really fit in your business plan. So we really knew our bread and butter were lessons. But we had other stuff. We had lifeguard classes. We had inventory, the birthday parties, stuff, other stuff. And then somebody would want to sell Avon at our place. We got lots of kids and lots of stuff. Maybe that's a good thing. But I learned the shiny stuff was never where you put your real intentions. So if you're looking at your books, and everybody should know their books, everybody. If you don't know your books, you don't know your business. So if you're looking at your books and you're like 80, 90% of my revenue is coming from this, whatever this is, for us, it was swim lessons. And that's where you put 80, 90% of your energy. You don't want to put it into other things, the shiny things. And whenever you pivot, and I find this a lot in the coaching community, something isn't working or it's not working fast enough and they pivot to something else. So they were doing mindset coaching, but now they're doing breath work or something else. And then the more you pivot and the more you change your offer and what you're doing, the more it gets muddled and people don't know what you do. A confused mind says no. So if they're confused on what the heck you do, they can't refer you anybody and they can't take advantage of your business. The more you change and the less continuity and consistency you have, the more confusing you are and the harder for people to engage and take advantage of what you have to offer.
That's such a key one. I do see that a lot. 1 minute, someone is doing this, and then you get the sense they figured that's not working. Now they're doing this, and you never get to be known for something, like you said. The reason people do that is because, especially when you're new to something, you don't have an idea of how long you should persist with something before you get the momentum and the traction that you're after. And so you think, I don't know, everyone's got the random timelines of, oh, surely this must mean this does not work. And I'm interested to know from your experience.
That happens all the time. It's when you run out of a runway. If you are not making any money, but now you're out of money. Oh, crap. I need to feed my family. What do I do now? I can't continue to do this because it's not working. But you never know when that click, that graph or whatever, it just takes off. You don't know where that's going to be. And it's honestly different for everybody. So if you're coming to a new something, for me, coaching was new. I made a ton of mistakes in the first several months. I'm still making mistakes, but that was very new. So I had actually pivoted and changed a lot within that time because I honestly did not know where I was comfortable and my seat was. So that's understandable. So now I've kind of found out that lending and corporate credit are where I am. I'm not fractional CFO. I'm not a mindset coach. I'm not a executive coach. So all those things I kind of started with, I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then I found out that's a thing. So if you come in with more knowledge and more direction and probably more homework on the front end, as this is really where my seat is, where I want to be, then you'll get there faster. But if you flounder in the beginning, like I did, like most of us do, it's just going to take you longer to get there. I gave myself a year. So if this is not working in a year, then I'm going to make a major pivot and probably go back to some sort of non-entrepreneurial something. Although I probably won't stay there very long. I'd probably go back to entrepreneur because that's where my heart is. But that's how long I gave myself, is a year.
Thanks for sharing that. I'm wondering, Sue, so you start the swim school, and at what point is one, this getting clients, this becoming profitable, this showing that, okay, this is the business. Let's dig into this.
We were profitable in a year and a half, which is
Yeah.
super short. And that's because of the background in the area we were in. My mom was part of it. My family was all part of it. My mother had been in the swim school industry in that part of our area in Pennsylvania for 30 years before that. She already had a clientele before she opened it. She had a curriculum. She super uber organized. She was ready to start this business. There wasn't the floundering. There wasn't anything else. So we started the business with like 300 kids a week. And that grew quickly to about 600 kids a week. And then we grew slowly but incrementally, except for 2008, which was its own thing. But we grew a little bit at a time, ending at almost 2,000 kids a week in 2022. Took us 18 years to get there. So we were profitable really soon. A little bit of a sticky, like notepad type business to begin with until we got all the operations and the scheduling software and everything under control. But it only took us a year and a half to get profitable when you take away the costs to build the building. That's one of the biggest barriers to swim school, is actually putting a hole in the ground.
Oh, that's interesting. Because when I saw that, I was like, wow, that's a really neat business. I can see how it's needed. But I can also see how people wouldn't want to do it because of what you just said. You have to build the swimming pool and you've got to build the facilities. And I'm sure there's a lot that comes with that. What I got from what you said was really critical, the partnering of your mom, a partner who, one, had the experience, had the clients, two, was ready to go.
I hopped on her coattails. I'm like, you are going in the right direction. I'm going to help you. So between the two of us and this female-led business, it worked really well. She helped me and I helped her. It was a fantastic arrangement.
That's something that sometimes we don't think about. If it's the first time you're getting into business, why not find someone who just needs your help and already has something going so that, like you said, you escape that floundering? Because I think that floundering part does kill a lot of people early in the process.
And careful who you partner with, because that's a bad experience I've had, is getting another partner and then that fell apart. But for instance, I know my husband is interested in starting his own business in the heavy machine operating and the new place with it. What he's going to do first is to be hired by somebody else. He's going to work for somebody else, not be a partner, not be an owner, but I'm going to learn the industry on somebody else's dime. And then once I know what it's like here, because he says lots of experience back in PA, but once he learns that, he's like, I'm going to start my own business. It is a good idea to take that year and a half, 2 years to really learn your craft before you try to do it on your own, because it'll shorten your time period till you're profitable and take care of a lot of those mistakes that you're probably going to make anyway, or that owner that you're working for already had made. But the key is to not only work for them, but learn the business, listen to them, because you might think he's a pain in the butt boss, but he got there somehow, or she got there somehow, and listen to him until you can do it yourself, and then be the rival. It's fun.
Literally, they know something that you don't know. That's why they have the success they have. So why not get to learn and escape that floundering period? Make it shorter.
But you're still going to do it, but make it shorter.
You're still going to do it, but make it shorter. Don't flounder too much. Now let's get into what you're doing now, which is, first of all, you're probably going to have to tell us what is corporate credit, because I think for a lot of people, that isn't something that's in their world.
You don't know until you do know, and then you're annoyed you don't know. Corporate credit, corporate doesn't mean corporate. Corporate means EIN number. So you can be a solopreneur. You don't even have to have any revenue. So it is the ability to use your EIN number, which is in the US, the EIN number as its own entity. So that EIN, that business can get into contracts. It can get sued. It can have a bank account. It can have vendors. It can do a lot of things. It can't be a person, but it can get funding in it of itself. So what I teach people to do is to build their corporate credit, which is different than your personal credit. And they use Experian Business, Equifax Business, and Dun & Bradstreet, which is only business. Experian and Equifax have a personal side. On the other personal side is a TransUnion. That's not part of business credit at all. So what I teach people to do is to get to tier 4, because there's different tiers in business, and be able to get funding for their EIN number on its own rather than personally guarantee things anymore. Now, some stuff you're always going to have to personally guarantee, whether it's a huge loan or different situations you might have to personally guarantee. But there's other situations where you don't. You can buy a vehicle. You can get different trade lines. You can get vendor lines. You can get gas cards, things like that, all on just your EIN number. So that's a big part of what I do is just the education of what the heck this is, how do I utilize it, and how do I eventually stop guaranteeing things.
Hey, small business family, quick pause here. If you've been listening and thinking, I need help getting clear on my message and how to actually market this amazing thing I've created, I've made something just for you. It's called the Clarity Intensive, and it's 2 focused sessions, one-on-one, where we untangle your ideas, map out your next best move, and build a foundation for real business momentum. If you're done thinking what's the right thing to do and you're ready for a customized strategy that fits you, this is for you. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can visit the website www.reinventingperspectives.com/shop, and you'll see our Clarity Intensive one-to-one marketing coaching. Let's get back to the show. What are the myths that people have around building corporate credit? Because I think that's one of the things that maybe if you've heard about it and you haven't pursued it, it's because you have certain ideas about what it is.
It's kind of an enigma. Only about 5% of what you're using actually gets reported. And for instance, only one American Express card reports. Until recently, Capital One was not reporting. So the biggest myth is that people think they have corporate credit. Their bank told them they have it. Their credit card told them they have it. They have a nice little credit card with their logo or their name on it, and they think that is building corporate credit. And the problem is it's not. It gets reported to an intermediary stage. There's about 30 companies that just hold data on whether you're paying your card off on time. And like the good things you're doing just go to these intermediary stages or goes nowhere or goes to your personal. And whenever you do something bad, pay late, overdraft stuff, then that goes directly to Experian, Equifax, or Dun& Bradstreet. So the biggest myth is people think they already have it and they don't. And then the second one is that it's easy to grow, and that's not true. It's not like personal credit where you just do the right things. You get your mortgage and you pay it off. You get a car loan, you pay it off, and you pay your credit cards on time and all those things. That's intuitive. Business credit isn't that way. It's not on how much you make. It's on how much you spend wisely and good steward of your money. So you make sure you only spend what you can pay off. Did that make sense or more clarification?
I'm hearing people think they have it, probably through their bank, or maybe your bank has some kind of business division, and then you can put your company name on the card, and so you think you are building your company credit, and that is not it. Those are 2 separate things. The corporate credit and your business credit card that you get from your bank are 2 separate things. Am I getting that correct?
Right. Yeah, you got it. Business credit is not the words we use because the banks use them and everybody else uses it. But that's why we use corporate credit. That is actually the word for it. And with that bank you're building business credit, you might be able to take your EIN and later on, when you've proven after years and years of using this bank that you are good with your money. But if you don't like that bank's terms, conditions, everything else, and you wanted to go to a different bank, you would have no business credit with them.
Okay, because your history is simply with that institution, with that bank. So
Correct.
For you to have the corporate credit that you can shop anywhere, is that the idea?
That's the idea. Exactly the idea. You got it.
Okay. Maybe tell me a story, because I need to see this work.
I was dealing with this client. They said they had business credit. I pulled their business, and anybody can look at your business credit. All they need is actually your business name and maybe your state. They don't need your EIN number, and businesses are looking at other businesses' credit statement so that they know if they want to do business with them. So that's just a back office thing. So I pulled the business credit and I said, there's nothing here. He goes, yes, there is. I've been doing this, that, and the other thing. I said, there's nothing here. So then we went and looked further, and his bank doesn't report. He's using the Amex card. That doesn't report. If you Google or if you chat and look up how do I build business credit, is going to tell you to use either Uline, Granger, or Quill. And those are great starter cards. Like you can get business credit. It's like $500, like all you can rack up. It's not a whole lot of money, but it's a good way to start business credit. So we got him hooked up with that. And then he started to build his business credit. And about 2 months later, then we're like, all right, so now you're at an 80 out of 100 business credit in tier one. Now let's look at tier two cards. So then we went and found a gas card. And then we went and found a bank that actually does report, but they were in tier two. So then we kept those Quill and Granger cards because he was utilizing them for his business or even for his home because us home businesses don't have a whole lot of expenses, but we need toilet paper. So then we went and moved and did the gas card in the bank and then grew the corporate credit there, got that again, hit 80 in tier two. And then we looked at a different set of cards. So that's kind of how you grow it. And the first cards, unless they're Quill Granger, those you don't need to personally guarantee, but others you do have to personally guarantee in the beginning and you use them until you don't need them anymore. Like I've grown out of this card. As your 18-year-old cards are not the same thing you're using as a 30-year-old, at least hopefully. You grow out of those cards and you get different ones. And it's just the ability to get what you're doing already, your budget for your business now, to report. It's not an additional expense. It's just using your expenses wisely.
Okay. So tell me if I'm correct. Doing all these things with your bank credit, which is through the business part of your bank, and except it's not recording a history that you can leverage at some point if you needed to do something. Is that the idea?
There are a few banks that do report, and that's kind of secret sauce. That's why I'm just giving you there's a few banks that report. Your credit union is not reporting if you're using that as your business bank account. Some of the big banks don't report because actually it costs them money to report. So they don't like to. And that's what the major problem is. They have to pay money to report things that don't actually benefit them, only benefit their customers, which that sounds terrible, but that might be true.
Thank you for telling us that. A lot of times you don't know what you don't know. You
Yep.
think that, okay, probably this is what I should be doing. And if you've never done it before, and you said looking back, knowing what you know now, you're thinking, oh gosh, all that we went through. Can you give me like an example?
Sure, things break. And in a pool, some things are expensive, like the heater, like the HVAC system, like new sand and gravel filters. Those are all in the thousands. And we always chalk them up to a one-time expense. But sometimes when they're in the lots of thousands, we didn't have the cash flow that year. So if we had taken a loan on the EIN number that wasn't personally guaranteed, that my kid's college savings account, my house, my retirement wasn't up for grabs, which our business was doing well, and I made that business loan, then I could amortize it or deduct it in that year, depending on how much it was, and I could get the equipment I needed. I didn't have to worry or stay up at night or having a ding to my credit again, because now I've leveraged it. So I personally guarantee a new HVAC system for my pool. That sort of sucks. If I can get the business to be on the hook for it, that's much better.
That does make sense. I can see how so many issues that business owners have where, okay, where am I going to get the money for this? Now I've got to put my own personal life at risk to keep the business going or to solve this cash flow problem that's happening. And this is why you should have this. Tell me, what's one immediate action that a new founder could take this week if they wanted to start building their credit correctly?
Can't start there. You have to build a viable business first. So if you're the banker, and what's the banker going to look at in my business to make sure I'm a real business? Now, let's go back to those coaches and consultants and people who just switch every so often. Would you want to lend them money? No. So they're looking at, are you using a Gmail account or a free account? Hotmail, I'll date myself, whatever. They don't like that. They want a real account. They want a website. They want an address that's not your home address. There's ways to use virtual ones that actually work. They don't want you to use your cell phone. They want a dedicated line. They want this business to look credible. So first you have to start with that. If you've moved addresses, your EIN business credit is actually attached to your address, not your number. So if you've hopped around different places, you might have multiple accounts going on. Next thing to do is once you've got a credible business, which actually takes the most amount of time, then you want to register with your phone with 411. You want to get your DMB number, Dun and Bradstreet number. That can be free. You don't have to pay for this mess. You need an Experian and Equifax number as well. So we have a credible business. Now the accredited agencies know we exist. That's when we start getting vendor lines.
Thank you for
Everybody
sharing
likes to
that.
do it the other way because they think it's quicker. They're just going to go for the Uline account. They're just going to go for whatever account, but they never set up their business as a real business. So they have these accounts and then they have to go back and start over again and set up a viable business, especially if they're looking for funding someday. And it does take about a year. It takes a while. The difference of
Interesting.
a 1 year business and a 2 year business is big. The difference between an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old, not that big.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. The previous episode, we had two gentlemen from a company called Corporate Direct, and they were talking about setting up the LLC and things like that. And I think this ties hand in hand with that sort of flow of like setting up your business correctly from the beginning so that
For sure.
there's a lot of that energy in the entrepreneurship world, especially online, of just start selling, the energy that is driving people to want to start businesses. And it never talks about the kind of things that are useful to building your correct structure from the beginning in a way that you have a good foundation.
I can't tell you how many people I've come across that I'm like, all right, so what is your entity's name? I'll look up your corporate credit. And so what do you mean? You have an EIN, right? No. What do you mean you don't have an EIN? I know you make money and all this stuff. They're like, no, I don't have an EIN. Like, you don't have a business. Yes, I do. No, you don't. You are personally liable for everything you're doing because you have no business. So let's look at that first. So yeah, setting up a credible business and don't let the lawyer use his address for your EIN number. It starts it off on the wrong foot completely. You need an address.
Good tip there. Now I'll come to this because I think the reason that people shy away from anything that has to do with money is sort of the psychology around money. And since that is the space in which you coach, what do you mean by profit acceleration and why somebody would need a coach like you?
When you're in the weeds, sometimes you don't see. You got to look from the outside in on the company, whether you're priced appropriately, your market position and your wording and bundling, upsell, cross sell, all those things. And when is a good time actually to get into debt? Because I'm a little bit debt averse, but I know if I look at my company and go, if I had $100,000, just throw that out, whatever it amount, if I had this much money, how would that accelerate my growth? What could I do with that in my business that would be meaningful, impactful, powerful? Could I create new systems? Can I hire a key employee so that I can actually do more stuff and fire myself from some of these roles if I'm really good at selling or if I'm really good at whatever as a business owner? If I hire somebody else to do some of the things I'm not so great at, how much is that going to make me in revenue? Do I need more equipment? Maybe I'm a plumber and I can only get so much done with my own hands. But if I hired somebody, because I had another van, and I would go out and then they can work while I'm working on somebody else. So there's times to actually utilize debt so that you can grow. And the timing of that is key. That's why I work with business coaches and fractionals and CFPs and everybody else, because they know when their client, the business owner, is like, all right, now it's go time. I'm ready. Let's go.
Yeah, that's critical. I'm just interested to know, as you look out into the future, personally, what's exciting you and what are you excited about in the marketplace?
I'm so excited to help all these other business owners do what I didn't know I could do. I just learned about research and development and how I could use tax credits for what? I know another tax strategy that you can use Puerto Rico. Didn't know about that. Being in the networking world has been crazy. All these people out there to help. But as the business owner, you're head down and you're just trying not to drown most of the time. You're trying to get a breath of air. There's no time for any of the other stuff. So now that I'm outside of it looking in, I'm so excited to help those people learn about things that I didn't know about so that they could have more leverage and more time to breathe and more fun in their business. So their business isn't running them, they're running their business. And I'm excited about all the people I'm meeting, helping, and all the future people that'll do the same.
The key thing is find that leverage and how to create that leverage for your business. Thank you so much for bringing clarity to this topic and curiosity. I think if you're listening, you're a little bit curious. Okay, there's some things I need to know. There's some things that could help me in terms of how I build my corporate credit, how I leverage this for my business, and how I make decisions around using debt to make leaps in my business. So this is all really interesting stuff. If you'd like to know more about Sue, please go to schuster.profiteering.ai. I'll link it down in the description. Sue, are you active online?
Yes, LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. Sue Schuster in LinkedIn, and I'll link that down in the description. Thank you so much, Sue. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Priscilla.